5 secrets of the sharpest prophets is what we're looking at here. These can also be forensic prophecy secrets. Don't forget, in case you're new here, subscribe to my channel right now. Don't hesitate. Like this video, comment, and share to bless others. When it comes to forensic prophecy, bear in mind that we're talking about prophecies that cause straight or cut straight to solve problems or to disclose the mind of God with 100% accuracy. And not just that, these kind of prophecies backed up with the power of God in such magnitude and dimension that brings about immediate results or long-term results, but that brings God glory at the end of it all. The prophets that bear this depth of prophecy are the ones that are referred to here as the sharpest prophets or smartest prophets. I had done a video before on the 7 secrets of the sharpest prophets. This is like part 2. So I'm going to be picking out for you some of the rare qualities that mark the secrets of the sharpest prophets that make them stand out the way you see them. Today, when we talk about contemporary prophets, when you look at the names like Uebert Angel, Prophet Shepherd Bushiri, or Beverly Angel, and the rest of them, these guys are called or seen as the sharpest prophets. We have lots of them around the world, including myself, of course. So I want to point out some of the secrets that these giant or towering prophets, lean on in order to dispense their prophecy with this depth of clarity, as well as the quality of the results that follow their ministry. So let's move on. Secret number 1 is that they groan in the spirit. They groan in prayers. For a prophet to become forensic or come to the point where their prophecies bear the mark of forensic prophecy with power and authority of God backing it up. These guys are people who have lost their words in the place of prayers. I mean that they pray to the point where they run short of normal words that you may play over in the place of prayers. So they see themselves uttering mysteries out of their mouth in the place of prayers. The secret that is attached to this is that these guys in the process, transcend into the other realm and tap into divinity, and in the process of prayer or in the place of prayer, they begin to cut to realms. Somebody can be on their knees or sitting down or standing up or lying down. This can be on the mountain or wherever, but in isolation with God. And they are like Buza, Matuva, Lekiti, Mekuva, Nendosi. Don't think where you are speaking the normal tongues that you speak. You're going to pray that God launch you to this realm where these guys catch a wave that takes them to realms. You get me? From one realm to another, they begin to shift realm in the place of prayer to the point where they come to an apex in the realm of the spirit, where everything literally becomes bare before them, naked, so that when they step into a meeting or they step into a place, nothing is hidden from them. Past, present or future, they can penetrate into anything and hear anything, you get me, or see anything and prophesy it and bring or invite God's injunction into a matter and get it established. I'm talking about prophecy that is backed up with power. It's born from or cut from the place of groaning prayers. That was Elijah's dimension of operation. Number 2, they interact with the spirit of the dead. When Elisha the prophet died, his body was thrown into a tomb. When his body touched the bones of those that were dead, they came back to life. His spirit interacted with the spirit of the bones that his body made contact with. So in the process, there was a calling back to life. When Jesus died, and moment his spirit left this realm to the other realm, dead bodies came back to life. Beyond this, when Jesus was here, he could stand by the graveyard of Lazarus and now say, Lazarus, come forth. Now, Lazarus was dead. Sure, Jesus was not talking to the body of Lazarus that was in the tomb. He ordered them to open the tomb so he could talk or speak Lazarus back to life, because the spirit of Lazarus would come back into his body before his body would come out, and his body will not have the power to push the tomb, the gravestone, open. So they had to open it, because for sure his spirit was going to come in there and he was going to walk out on. So Jesus was able to interact with the spirit of Lazarus that was long gone. He was able to interact with the spirit of the son of the widow of Nain that was long gone. He was able to interact with the spirit of the daughter of Jairus that was long gone. Prophetic people can come into your house, smart prophets, and they can interact with the spirits of people that are dead around you. Sometimes specific demons are attached to the man, let me say a great grandfather of yours that dead long time ago. A particular demon was attached to him, and that demon took his life away, or made him poor, or dropped a transgenerational sickness in your bloodline, and this sickness have been able to reach up to you or to your immediate parent, because the spirit is connected with your grandfather or forefather. These sharp prophets can interact with the spirit of your forefather, or somebody who happens to be an ancestor, or somebody who is dead around you, and in the process interact with the demon connected. And sometimes the demon connected with a particular terminal disease transpiring or traveling through your generations can take on the form of the image of your forefather and make an appearance in the realm of the spirit. These sharp prophets can interact with them. By so doing, they are able to stop that disease from the world of the dead, where the demons have colonized. So you see that when such prophets conduct a deliverance on your family, what they declare to be in your family start happening. They have taken the battle beyond just praying for you. Number 3, they're able to interact with territorial spirits. In the prophetic, territorial spirits have got a great role to play around a prophetic person. And for the sharpest prophets, they have mastery with dealing with territorial demons. This is what I mean. Territorial demons that occupy a place where their ministry is situated, or where God has sent them to take hold of or control of as prophets, to serve as his principality over such jurisdiction. So they are able to interact with the territorial demons or powers controlling such locations or regions. And as a result of that, they are able to win their battles from the other realm first before you see manifestations here. So everything you see happening around your ministry was or is a product of a battle won against territorial demons somewhere, or spirit somewhere, before you see manifestations here. So when you see financial prosperity, you see growth in the ministry, people just coming in numbers, attendance increasing on regular basis. You see all kinds of miracles. You see people in authority visiting them. It's because these prophets have been able to conquer or subdue the effect of territorial demons. You see, whatever he thinks to do comes to pass is he has conquered or won his battle with territorial spirits. People who have the ability to interact with territorial demons or spirits and conquer them in the prophetic are called the sharpest prophets. These are the prophets who operate at the forensic level, or who operate forensic prophecy. Moses was one of them. When he came into Egypt to confront Pharaoh, we didn't hear when God said, when he was sending Moses, when he had an encounter with God by the mounting of the Lord, that he should go to confront certain territorial spirits in Egypt. But when Moses came, being a prophet, that had the ability in him to do forensic prophecy, what Moses did was to interact with the territorial powers of Egypt, because Egypt was the terrain or location of his authority or dominion as a prophet. So he came in there and he discovered that at the time Egypt had got 10 territorial powers controlling the nation of Egypt. So what did the prophet do? He interacted with them one by one, so that every sign that Moses stepped forward to establish in Egypt throughout his be it to bring Israel out of Egypt, was a judgment or an interaction or an outright declaration of war against a particular territorial spirit. Let me make you understand something. The same thing Moses did when his staff turned into a snake and then swallowed the Egyptian serpents. You get me? And then eventually picked it up and it became a staff bag. Or when he caused the water to turn into blood, or when he caused the flies to be everywhere, when he smote every kettle or everything with tumor. All these things were exactly the same thing that Elijah did on Mount Carmel when he said, let us call down the fire, asking our God, individual God, to send down fire. And he said, the God that sent down fire, he will be our God. Now, Baal would have ordinarily the power to send down fire on an ordinary day. Listen to me. But Elijah had power over Baal, and Baal was a territorial demon controlling Israel at the time. That the prophet Elijah had ascended to a higher realm than the demon called Baal, so that he knew that in terms of eminence, he was not competing with the prophets of Baal. He was competing with Baal directly. So in the realm of the spirit, by ranking, Baal and Elijah would stand, and Elijah had a higher ranking, just as this finger is taller than this one or longer than this one. You get that? So Baal was somewhere below, Elijah was somewhere at the top. So Elijah could push Baal down, subdue Baal. He had known. So he wasn't contesting at all with the prophets of Baal. He was contesting with Baal himself. So when Moses came into Egypt, he was not contending with Pharaoh, so to say, or his cabinet. He was dealing with certain powers, that were the territorial authorities of Egypt that had the control over the mind of Pharaoh, the heart of Pharaoh. So one by one, until the 10th sign, Pharaoh's power was diminished, removed, and Pharaoh was reduced to an ordinary man that was quickened before the prophet Moses, who happened to be the Lord of the land at the time. So Pharaoh got no option than to let Moses go. So if I'm going to be a forensic prophet, and then I need to be able to interact with territorial powers, this way I'll join the key or the lineup of the sharpest prophets in my time. Number 4. They are endowed with creative spirits. All the sharpest prophets, contemporary and before, Bible time, they have creative spirits. These guys or prophets can call to be things that are not. They have interacted with Genesis 1 to the point where the Spirit of God literally possesses them to that degree. The Bible said that there was nothing made that was not made without the involvement of Jesus. In other words, Jesus created everything, and if we are possessed by the Spirit of the Lord Jesus, we should be able to call things that are not as though they are, as Apostle Paul said in Romans chapter 4, calling for things that are not as though they already are. So forensic prophets don't necessarily, or prophets who give forensic prophets don't necessarily see things in the realm of the spirit, or God says something to them in the realm of the spirit, particularly kingly prophets, before they step out, or when a priestly prophet puts on a kingly cap and he wants to make the unusual take place, they don't necessarily hear God before they make declaration. Creative spirit. So they call for things and you see them happen. Let these be, and these things will happen. The God that sends down fire, let him be God. God did not tell Elijah, I'm going to send down fire. Elijah had to creatively call down fire because he had known that his God is a consuming fire. That's the thing. Did that fire actually come down from heaven? Is still a question. The prophet called down fire. The fire had to come just to confirm that the prophet had a creative spirit. If Elijah had called for rain, it will come like he did. Now God said, I'm going to send down rain. The prophets of Baal were slaughtered, and Ahab was on his way back after Elijah had won the contest. But Elijah went to the place of prayer and said 7-dimension kind of prayer, much like the groaning prayer that I talked about. The guy was interacting with realms from one realm to the other realm until the 7th realm, where it was clicked, the cloud began to form, and the rain came. He called down rain literally. This is creative spirit in action. When Elisha said that the Shunammite woman was going to embrace a son in a year's time, that was the creative spirit of the prophet. It was not God that said this woman is going to be pregnant and have a child by next year. The creative spirit in the prophet spoke up, and we call it what? Prophecy. And when did he say in a year's time? What happened? It happened as the prophet Elisha had said. God didn't say that, Elisha said it. Lastly, that's my point number 5. They interact with the future. You are standing with them, but they can walk up into your future and begin to interact there. When they do it, maybe it could be that they are engaged in a prophetic code that have to do with the spiritual gift of wisdom. So they just go ahead of you into the future, watch your future, look around it. If nothing is going to work well there, they can fix it. Come back and then make a declaration. So it's going to happen in your life in the future. That's exactly what's going to happen. So they go ahead to interact with your future and come back to give you, the prophecy. And that's exactly what you're going to get when you get into that future. So these are, for my concern here, the secrets about the sharpest prophets I want to put up here for you. And I trust that the spirit of prophecy is coming upon you. Tell me how this video has affected your life in the comment section.